today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons that Florida may not be for you. Now listen, this is not going to be one of those videos where I'm saying, if you don't like the sunshine, Florida is not for you. If you don't like perfect paradise settings, Florida is not for you. No, 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 no. We deal in reality here on this channel. I always say this, you can get brochure living videos anywhere. They're all over the internet. Everybody will tell you all the good things about Florida, but here on my channel, I like to give you what is reality. And you know what? Sometimes I take a lot of heat for that. Sometimes people will say,
"What are you trying to do? Move everybody out of Florida, Barrett? Do you care if you make one dime in real estate?"
Here's the thing for me. I feel like I'm a real estate broker. I've been a real estate broker for 26 years. I feel like if somebody is thinking about moving to Florida, they have already sold themselves on all of the good things about Florida. So for me, I would want someone, like if I were going to buy a home and you were the real estate agent in Minnesota, Michigan, Boston, wherever it is, I would want you to know that I know all the good things, and if I didn't, I will ask you. I want to know what I don't know. As I always say, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't even know what to ask. So I like to tell you the things that maybe you have not thought about, and then that balances out, and then you make the determination, does the good outweigh the bad? And does this live in your world? And then, hopefully you call me. And if you don't, listen, we part as friends. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons that Florida really may not be right for you. Starting with number 1, the bugs. Now you might say, yeah, Barrett, I knew there were bugs in Florida. There's bugs where I live now. I understand mosquitoes. My friend, let me tell you, this is on a whole nother level. The no-see-ums that you can't see, the bugs that literally attack you, they ambush you out of the blue, you don't even know it's coming. You walk out, don't even bother walking in the grass, because if you are a person that is not going to go through the grass with socks and like boots on, and I am not exaggerating, if you have a propensity to be bitten by things outside in your home state, you are going to be ambushed by these things. And I am not joking. When I go outside, so I found this bug spray that's supposed to be all natural and not supposed to, I don't know, hopefully I don't grow a 3rd leg at some point. But when I go outside, before I go outside, I go in the garage and I spray this all over my legs, because I will be bit like you cannot believe from my feet all the way up to my knees. And it's the kind of bites that keep you up at night, wake you up at night. A couple of weeks ago, I was on one of the piers, and there was somebody who was clearly a tourist, bit up like, I couldn't believe, all over their back. It was clearly like sand flea bites. So I'm telling you, if you think that you're not going to have a problem with bugs, you will. And in the summer, it is insane how bad it is. So what can you do about it? I don't want to kill your dreams of moving to Florida because of bugs. You have to find some kind of bug spray that works for you. If you're comfortable doing that, you'll be fine. And it's not as bad in the winter, to be honest, but in the summer, for the most part, 9 months out of the year, it's beyond belief. And I know that there is somebody out there right now on their fake account typing that I don't know what I'm talking about, and in their area, they spray overhead, they hear the planes flying over. Yes, and yes, you still get bit to shreds. Number 2, the lack of feeling of kind of like roots and depth in the community. If you live in Florida, some parts of Florida, you know exactly what I'm saying. There is a lack of roots in the community. Nobody is rooting for the home team because there is no home team. Everybody comes from somewhere else. when you drive through your neighborhood, you'll notice that you're going to see Pittsburgh Steelers and New England Patriots and whatever, LA Rams or whatever it is. Not so many LA Rams. We don't get a lot of people from California. But you see a different flag hanging from every house because there is no rooting for the home team kind of atmosphere. And you do feel that. You feel that everybody is always going home, and home is never where they are. And that can create sort of a sense of transience that bothers a lot of people. So I would say you can avoid that by not buying in a condo community that has a lot of rentals, because you'll have a different neighbor literally every month. And I would never buy somewhere that has weekly rentals. Most of them don't have nightly rentals, but weekly can be problematic, even monthly. If you have a different neighbor 12 months out of the year, that bothers some people. So like I said, there is a lack of roots in the community. Home is not there. Everybody always talks about, when I go home, I'm going to go home for the holidays. People are coming from home, but they never refer to where they live now in Florida, whether it be Naples or Sarasota or Venice or wherever it is. They don't refer to it so much as home. Number 3. I am from the Midwest. I'm used to the heat. I'm used to that soup bowl of high humidity. Listen, let me tell you, you have no idea. Spend before you make a full-time move to Florida, especially if you're going to be south of Tampa. Make sure you spend one summer in the area you're going to move. So let's just say you're going to move where I am in Southwest Florida. Spend one summer if you're going to be there in the summer. If you're going to snowbird, different story. But if you're going to be there in the summer, you're going to live there full time. Spend one summer in Southwest Florida. See how you feel. It is hot on a level that it does not. I'm from St. Louis. It is really hot in St. Louis. It is the middle of the state. There's not a lot of place. We don't have an ocean. We don't have a Gulf of Mexico in St. Louis. Yes, you can get in the air conditioning, thank goodness. And yes, you can go to pools and do all those kind of things. But when you go outside, I'm talking about, you just stepped into the reptile house at the zoo. It is sweltering. You're sweating. It is unbelievably hot. Now, I will say you do adjust. You definitely adjust. I can give you a really good example that after years and years of living full-time in Florida, I came back to St. Louis, my home city, and I was in a wedding, and the wedding was in July. Everybody was absolutely melting. They were just like, oh my gosh, it is so hot. And I was hot, but I was doing a lot better than everybody else because I was more used to it. But it did take a few years easily for me to adapt to it. So if you're somebody, especially if you're from the Northeast where it doesn't get blazing hot, you really should spend some time in the summer and make sure you're going to be able to deal with that, or spend a lot of time in the air conditioning. Number 4, and I talk about this often, medical care. Make sure that you sort that out, especially if you need a specialist of any kind. Make sure you sort that out, your medical needs, before you move to Florida, because if you take the plunge and you say, you know what, it's Florida, there's got to be a lot of doctors, there's all these rich people, there's got to be a lot of doctors. There is not. And especially if you're talking about an area that's resorty. So on either coast, the areas that are resorty, you can have those problems. Now, I will say the east coast of Florida is better with this. They just are. The west coast of Florida is a little bit tougher. So on the east coast, I don't hear as many people have trouble getting in to see a doctor. They still have problems, but nowhere near what we get it. Really, I would say south of Sarasota. Sarasota, in my opinion, is better than what we get in the Naples area. There just seems like there's a whole lot less doctors or availability. Now, why is that? And I've talked about this on my channel before, but I really want to hammer this home to some of you because it's so common that I sell a property to somebody, they've watched my videos, they know all this, we talk about all this, and they say, oh yeah, I've got it handled, I'm good. And then I check in with them 3 months later and they say, you know what, Barrett, I can't get in with a cardiologist for a year or for 8 months or whatever it is. And then they say, you told me I should establish and I didn't. So I'm telling you this because I don't want this to happen to you, because it is a real thing. It's very hard to get in with doctors. It's unbelievably hard to get in with specialists. For example, an electrophysiologist, you know, the electrical people that take care of AFib, heart dysrhythmia, that kind of thing. There's so few of those people that you're months and months and months out, and you might say, you know what, I don't care. I will fly back to Boston because that's top healthcare. That's what I'll do. Are you going to do that, though, if you're in a situation where it's sort of like you have an emergency? So I understand if you're somebody who can fly back and forth, you might be willing to do that for a little while. But if you're trying to make Florida your home, you have to establish doctors. So make sure the doctors you need are in the area and that you have a couple, 2, 3, 4 choices, because otherwise everybody's going to be trying to get in with that gastroenterologist or that cardiologist or whatever it may be. All right, and then the last one, number 5, is the job market. Do not sell your house, have a windfall of money. Let's just say after you've bought your new home, after everything's said and done, after the move, you've got $40,000, and that feels like a whole lot of money for you. So your thought process is not a problem. I invested well up here in Michigan, and I am moving to Naples because I love it, and I found the exact villa that I want, and when I get there, I'll just find a job because I do need to work, and I do need to make sure that I've got adequate income. Don't wing it like that, because what's going to happen is you will discover that none of the jobs are super high paying. Now, if you can live off a job that pays between $12 an hour and say even as high as $20 an hour, then you might be perfectly fine. If you're willing to work like at Publix or something like that, they pay in that kind of range. They're always looking for people. But if you're looking for a job that pays $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, provides benefits, it's going to be really, really tough to find, unless you're in one of those niche fields. Like if you're a nurse, you shouldn't have as much a problem. But the other thing I will tell you, or if you're going to start a company that there's a gaping need for in Southwest Florida or the East Coast of Florida or anywhere where it's resorty, there are some things that are really, really needed. For one example is like handyman services. Those do really well, but then you have the challenge of, can you pay people and will they show up and can they afford to live? If you're paying somebody, let's say they're a great carpenter and they can do all kinds of little handyman work and you're paying them $18 an hour, can they afford to live in the area to stick with you? That's where the problem comes in, is that the workers can't afford to continue living in the area, and most people are not going to drive an hour, hour and a half to do an $18 an hour job. So you get into this little weird space where you might have a great idea to start a business, but you can't find anybody to work that business. So I would just say be very aware of that don't rely on getting the job when you get here, because it might not be what you think it'll be. School teachers is another example. I have had many people fly in thinking that, you know, there's always openings in Florida for teachers, but the pay, ask what the pay is and make sure make sure they're telling you accurately. Do not make the assumption that the pay you're getting in your home state is going to be the pay you get in Florida. And even if it was the pay you get in Florida, isn't enough to live. So those are 5 reasons. I could easily come up with 5 more. If you're interested, let me know. But those are the 5 top reasons that Florida really might not be the place for you.